everybody, and welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA.
What's up, friends? It's your girl, Jaquita.
And this is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you can experience more freedom.
My Lord.
Freedom.
Listen, we still out here in these summertime streets. Okay. Another episode for y'all today. It's going to be a good time.
Summertime.
Okay.
All right, I'm not gonna get y'all no more.
And the living is easy, Ruth Abigail.
I'm not. I just
decided.
Nope.
Come on.
That's all you get. That's all you
all
get.
Right,
That's
all right. See, and this is why I should be the singer in the duo. Okay.
I want you to go back to the episodes where Quita was singing.
At least I finished the songs.
And then rewind just then and
say
which one you would prefer to hear.
Next episode, we're having a singing contest.
Okay.
Don't play with me. Do not play with me.
We might could do it on this one because this particular movie that we're about to get into is dope.
Top tier. Top tier, friends.
Top tier.
Right, so, just because it's coming to my mind and we never do it at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
Hey, friends. Hey. All right. We're in the summertime series. We're giving y'all the vibes. Okay. You ought to come to the party. Come to the cookout. All right. Come on and like, share, and subscribe. Okay.
Yes.
And be a part of the movement.
Yes.
Okay. Share a friend. Share with a friend. And we really want to hear from y'all in the comments. I love when people, got things to say. Thank you all. You all been sharing the videos.
We've been
seeing it. We've been seeing it. When I see it in somebody else's story,
I like it.
Because Instagram doesn't always tell you, like when it's been shared. Like it's just I'm scrolling and I'm like,
and you kind of see it. Right.
Oh, so listen, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Thanks for rocking with us, hanging with us.
Yes,
all that.
Okay, so we're gonna each sing the one line from our favorite song of this movie. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna go first. Be prepared. Be prepared.
I really hope this is your last time doing that. Okay. I really hope. Okay.
It will not be.
All right, I'm gonna give it away with mine. Okay. So, Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata, ain't no passing parade.
Is that what it is? Is that what the line is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's one of the lines. They do a couple of various. Anyways, friends, we're talking about The Lion King. Okay, I know
classic.
Classic. Okay, classic. This is what started the Disney movie empire that was our childhood. There were other movies, but I feel like The Lion King was the movie.
Is that true? Did it come out before The Little Mermaid?
I think so.
I think it did. I think you're right. Okay.
I think so. Maybe.
No, it did not. It did not. It did not come out. Producer Joy saying it did not come out before Little Mermaid.
We're going to fact check that.
I do have to disagree with you because Little Mermaid.
I don't know. Even if the Little Mermaid came out, I wasn't really into the Little Mermaid. Okay, so maybe I'm speaking from my own personal experience. But The Lion King was just that movie. Lord, okay, it came out. Did not come out before the Little Mermaid at all. It was 1989 was The Little Mermaid. 1994.
Wow. But I do think you're right. It put Disney. It did put it at a different level. I agree. I think it's a better movie.
It had a gravitas.
Now,
yeah.
Mufasa. Mufasa.
Listen, okay, wait a minute. Before we get into it, okay, it's not a song in the movie. But if all of you knew that the new Mufasa, the background story, but that Aaron Pierre,
oh
Mufasa,
my God,
Aaron Pierre, let me tell you something, okay? Put J Hud on the map.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They had to turn the comments off because y'all are crazy.
Yeah,
y'all are absolutely
it's
bananas,
wild.
and some of you should be ashamed of yourselves.
I'll be honest, I really I didn't get it. Like
I'm not getting into this with her.
Okay,
I'm not
I'm
getting
sorry.
into this
I
with
still
her.
don't. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a.
I'm not. We're
All
not
right,
doing this.
we're not
All
going
right,
there.
we're
That's
not
fine.
doing
That's
this.
fine.
We're
We'll
not
move on.
doing this
We'll move
because
on.
you're not gonna disrespect.
But he did play that. He did a great job in Mufasa. We love Mufasa. If you haven't seen Mufasa, you should go see it. It's a great
You
movie.
should absolutely go
It
see
really
Mufasa.
puts this movie into perspective. You know what I
It
mean?
really does. It really does.
And I think it really it does a really good job of honoring the classic by happening to by what am I trying to say? Honoring the classic by showing us some things that I'm trying by showing us some things that that we maybe didn't think about, right? Some different perspectives of different characters. So I think it's really good. Whatever I was gonna say before I got tripped up was gonna be a lot better than that, but it's all good.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think one thing that I love about The Lion King, you know, and all the Disney movies, the movies we grew up with, okay, listen, classic.
Yeah, man.
Top tier. Okay, we could do a whole Disney series.
We really
All
could.
right, we're gonna put a pin in that. Y'all catch us next summer. All right, stay tuned. That would hit. That would really hit.
I love Disney. Disney is
Listen. But I think the thing about The Lion King is that it showcases, for the purposes of our podcast,
amen.
All right, it showcases leadership and themes of unlearning.
Yes.
So profoundly. You know, like it is like the visual journey of watching, you know, a young, let's say 20-something-year-old, although he was a child, right? But it goes through the journey of going from child to king.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it gives you the whole
thing.
scope of how that happens, and everything that I think that we talk about from going from young adulthood to middle adulthood. I'm like, it's there.
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, it is, and I think, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through it, and I think the thing that when they set it up right, they set the movie up beautifully by just explaining the world in a way that is like everything has a purpose and everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
And they start off with that, right? The circle of life. You're welcome. Sorry, you're going to be hearing this throughout the entire show. So it really, this idea of the circle of life, I mean, we were kids and we're listening to this, we're singing this, we have no clue the depth of what that meant. I love the part where, he's taking Simba and he's showing him
the Pride Lands.
He's showing them the Pride Lands, and he's talking about the antelope and how they are, they eat the antelope. And so I'm trying to remember the exact line, but I can't right now. But they're having this conversation, and his father explains, like, we eat the antelope, but when we die, essentially we turn into grass, and the antelope eats us. So there is it's not a hierarchy. Yeah. We're not above each other. We work. It's a circle. It's not a ladder. And so it through that that presentation in the very beginning, they are talking about leadership as a circle, not a ladder, not I climb up on top of you.
Good.
But we all affect each other, so we all have to learn how to work together. And so that's then, of course, juxtaposed by by Scar and his mentality, right? It's a ladder mentality.
It's a ladder. Ooh wee. Okay, just so we're clear about how we're gonna move through this movie, guys. All right, if you know anything about The Lion King, the soundtrack was banging, okay? Some of us know these songs word for word, okay? Little 5th grade Jaquita, that Akuna Matata, okay, had me on lock, right? But we are going to take 5 of the top songs from the movie and really flesh them out and think about the themes that hit sort of some of our topics with leadership, with unlearning, with becoming, with identity and leadership formation. So we're going to hit those. So Ruth already started a little bit with the circle of life. That circle versus ladder thing, that is so deep. And I think that it changes the way that we see ambition,
Absolutely.
right? Ambition is not to go up, it's to go
It's
around,
to go. Yes, it's to
right?
take you. It's your turn. When is it my turn? It's a you wait your turn. And we
Yeah, and
just
it becomes about contributing versus
contributing.
overseeing.
That's correct.
Like I'm not over something, I'm in it.
I'm in it.
And
That's right.
when you think of
That's
leadership
it.
as being a role
Yeah.
that is encompassing, everybody has a place and a position in the circle, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all feeding into each other versus I got to climb up this ladder and I'm willing to kick you down to get up there,
Yep.
just so that I can be at the top.
Yeah.
I think that it's a beautiful display of how we essentially have to grow into thinking that leadership is about community and not
Yeah.
about ambition.
And I think this idea of, to your point, we are contributing to something. It doesn't, it highlights the idea of not position but roles. Everybody has a role
Mhm.
to play.
Yeah.
And the fact that we are all, no matter what that is, right? You are a small piece to a big puzzle. And it's like
Mhm.
we have to remember that. Like, we're a small
Yeah.
piece to a big puzzle. Whether it's in your own house, you're a small piece to a bigger puzzle, right? A larger puzzle of your
Mhm.
family, of your community. We're that way in our greater society. We're that way with the universe, right?
Yeah.
We are small, and we're a small piece to a bigger puzzle and a bigger plan. And so
Ooh, that's so good.
this idea that if we can get caught up in position, which takes you
Mhm.
above the puzzle, above the
Whew.
plan,
Whew.
and that you can't function that because you can't be above and
Yeah.
beyond what you didn't create. You didn't create the
Yeah.
picture.
Oh,
Therefore, you can't dictate the picture from outside of the picture. You were in the picture.
no, but you're hitting the point that was kind of starting to bubble up, is that the difference between Mufasa and Simba, we'll talk about Scar in a minute, is that when you know the history of a thing, you're able to better put things in
Mhm.
context.
Mhm.
And because Mufasa, especially if you've seen the movie, knew the history of the place, he was able to put himself in context. Like he has lived part of that bigger picture.
Yeah.
Simba has not lived any of the picture. So when he thinks about things like king and authority and, positioning, he's thinking, this is how I can only see the world according to how I have lived in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think in our 20s,
Mm.
as young leaders, emerging leaders, if you will, because I wasn't always a leader. It took me
Mhm.
living in it in
Mhm.
order to grow into it. But as young leaders, we often see things like, let's just be real. A lot of us wanted leadership positions to get more money.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Why do you want to be a leader? I want to make more
Or
money.
I don't want people telling me what to do.
I
Or
don't want people telling me what to do, or
yeah.
I don't want to be at the bottom of something. Sorry,
Yeah.
I saw some neck popping. I don't want to be at the bottom of something.
Uh-huh.
I want people. When I had my first real professional job, I felt like I was always saying, I need them to see what I bring to the table. Like I want to use my gifts and my talents. And I really disliked the job I was in. And every time a job that I would be halfway interested came in, I would apply. And that company would not give me an interview because they said you have to perfect the role you're in,
Uh-huh.
which was the introductory role. We have to see that you can perfect that before we can move you up. And I eventually I left. I was like, bye. I'm
Yep.
out. I'm gonna go somewhere where my talents are appreciated. But it was the moment I left, I said, this is bittersweet because I was in a place of preparation that I did not appreciate. and we don't always appreciate the places that build and mold us.
Yes, and can I say, I want to say this. This is interesting. We don't. Um what Simba had that a lot of people aren't necessarily privileged to have is to be raised by a leader. And I think,
Mm,
and I will say from my experience in that, and I attribute this to my parents. I really do, because I attribute so much to them. But I attribute this to my parents because, both of them led organizations, and my father was a leader of a church and organization. And so I grew up with people who I saw leadership, and I understood, they made me understand the value of playing your role when it's time to play your role,
mm,
and not
mhm.
looking for a position. And so when I got into the space, the professional world, I didn't really pay attention so much to position as much as I'm just working. Like, I'm just here to work.
Yeah.
Like, they taught me how to work. And I think what ended up happening was, they other people begin to see what I took me years to see, a leader in myself. And I will say, the way I
Mm.
have identified with Simba, which of course we'll get to later, is running away from that, because I also saw the
Mhm,
responsibility of it. I'm
mhm.
good. Just put me to work. I can work. I'll do whatever you want me to
Yeah,
do. Put me to work. I don't want to lead. I just want to work. Now,
yeah.
that's not me saying that leaders don't work, but the idea of, I didn't want to be in a position I have to make decisions, have responsibility, have to kind of be this example of something that is submitted to something larger, like, and I and have to be in the spotlight and all the things that
Mhm.
I eventually did move into. But it wasn't a desire, because I think I saw what it was, and I was like, I'm good. I don't want that. I think, but what Simba also, the benefit of, so I guess there was a pros and cons to that, but I think the benefit of being up under, whether it's in your home or a mentor or somebody that you're very close to who has a leadership role and a leadership position, is that you see, you see the that it's not the they can correct your vision of it
Mhm.
on the spot, as Mufasa did with Simba. It is not about being on top. It's about understanding what role you play in this circle. And so immediately he's getting instruction where it takes a lot of us years to get through experience,
Yeah.
right? And so you can get further with instruction and coaching, where, like, you can get further faster with instruction and coaching, where it takes
Yeah.
people experience for years to learn something. And if you are privileged to have somebody that can do that, we're wise to pay attention to it.
Yeah, and I will also say, Simba, that there is a benefit. Fathers give direction and give and help to shape our understanding of the world in that way.
Mhm.
And I think that for some of us, like, because as you were thinking, I was like, what did I get,
Mhm.
from my family? And, I got my mom, my grandparents, especially my grandfather, very entrepreneurial,
Mhm.
hustlers. We gonna work. And,
Mhm.
in my mind, I was like, to get a thing, I gotta work a thing.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't a lot of teaching and coaching because there
Mm.
was always a lot of doing.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that
Yeah.
the idea of teaching and coaching for me was something that I had to learn to adopt,
Yeah.
because anytime that I felt like I was in a space where I had to be taught or I had to be coached, I felt like I wasn't performing.
Mm.
And so the teaching and coaching, when someone was like, "Hey, you need to X, Y, and Z," immediately I had to fight these feelings of, you haven't worked hard enough. Are you not doing what you're supposed to do? Are you not good enough? And I think that that's a lot of us are turning away from teaching and coaching because there's something else inside of you
Mm.
that is battling receiving from someone else.
That's good.
And you have to know what that is so that you can get what God has prepared for you, because he will send people in your life that will want to pour and mentor, like, and it doesn't have to be, it's not always a steady relationship like Simba had. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's an encounter
Mm-hmm.
with someone who has been put there to pull you to your next place, but we don't receive because of what we're feeling and what we're battling with internally. And the more,
Yeah,
again, we preach self-awareness a lot, the more aware you become that what is making me fight against the mentorship and the coaching that the Lord has sent. I just want to really emphasize
that's
that,
good.
because there's a lot of people out here talking, and it's a lot of people who want to instruct and speak into your life, but you also have to be able to discern, okay, which ones did the Lord send, and which ones are the many voices that's in the air as well. And so
Yeah,
I think, really, if you are a person who struggles with instruction and coaching, and it's not because you don't want to be coached, it's just that something in you rises up every time someone tries to help you. I really want you to examine that and say, okay, what is it that causes me to fight against the wisdom that God sent?
that's really good. And I think you made that point about feeling like it's almost like coaching and teaching is when somebody does that, feeling like you have done something, your inadequacy is showing, right? You've done something
Mm-hmm.
poorly. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I think that is something that we have to unlearn, that's not true. Like,
Yeah.
that's not true. We need to we need to embrace the benefit of instruction before experience teaches us. It just
Mm-hmm.
takes longer, and
Yeah.
you can grow faster with the right instruction. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
coaching and professional coaching. I mean, I have benefited so much by
Mm-hmm.
professional coaches, informal coaching by people of just like, it just takes 30 seconds of something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I just had that experience the other day. I was with a fundraising coach. We talked for an hour. What they said in the first 5 minutes, I'd have paid for. We're good. I mean, that right there was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, and so it just shifted my whole way of thinking, and it shifted my energy. Like, I was putting my
Yeah.
energy in all this other stuff when I need to put it here. Great.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's everything. So, like, yeah, it's not, it's important. So,
Yeah. I think you
yeah,
have to flip your mindset to from thinking that people think that I'm not good enough. You have to flip that to people think that what's in me is so great that they're willing to invest in it.
that's right.
And I think if you flip that mindset, you'll be more open.
Eh, so moving to the
Y'all ain't know
next.
Lion King was that deep, ain't it?
Yeah,
Circle of
yeah,
life thing
yeah.
that got
I'm
us.
I'm saying it got us
Yeah.
caught
I mean,
up.
hey.
That's real, man. All right, so let's talk about what happens next. So we have Zazu, who who is kind of charged with being Simba's handler, really,
Yeah,
right?
his
Who, which he
yeah.
doesn't like. And so the scene, of course, we know the song. Oh, I just can't wait to be
To
da da
be
da da da
king.
da 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 da. Okay. And
That's
so
the jam.
it's the jam. I mean, that's the jam. So so this, I mean, that I love, I just, the title of the song, I just can't wait to be king. Like,
It's just so funny because
it,
it's like, if you only knew,
if you knew,
if you knew,
you
like, you would wait.
you will wait. Like,
You would wait.
you will wait. You be like, I'm good. I don't think I, but it's the idea of what kingship is,
Yes.
right?
Because I think even throughout the song, everything that he sings about is about how being a king will benefit him.
That's right.
You know, no one's saying do this, no one's saying
Said
be
be here.
there, you know.
Stop that.
Everywhere
No
I
one's
look,
saying
like
sit
I'm
here.
yeah, you know, standing in the spotlight, you
Yeah.
know, like he
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
man, King looks great
Yeah.
because of the benefits package. And see,
Yes.
that's what happens.
Because of the
That's
benefits
what happens when you
package.
start looking at the next position.
Mm.
This is what we
Mm.
all do.
Mm.
Even to this day, I still do this.
My Lord.
You start looking and you know, you looking through the job description. How many of you go down to the bottom first to see where the salary at before you even look at what the job
Hilarious.
requires? You
Hilarious.
scrolling down saying, what are the benefits? Okay. We all go looking for benefits before we go looking for requirements for job
That's
for
good.
the job for the position
That's absolutely
description.
true. That's absolutely
You
true.
know, because everything he said had nothing to do with the position description.
That's correct.
Like it was nothing about having to like, you know, take care of people, having to oversee operations. It was none
Making
of that.
hard decisions, and you know, having to like having to be responsible. No, none of
No.
that. None of that.
And
None of that.
so often in those early young adult years,
My Lord.
we made moves
Mm.
based off of the benefits package. Right? You like, listen, this job paying more and they got me twisted up in this job I'm at now. Okay, I'm out.
Yep.
You know, and I think that we're always I think it's just kind of like just human nature to think, okay, what am I gonna get out of this move?
Yeah.
To think of that first before you think, what is this move going to pull out of, require of, mandate of
Mm-hmm.
me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's some young leader stuff right there.
That is.
Okay?
It is.
That's some young leader thinking right there.
It is.
Right? Because we make moves because also as a young person, you know, Sip around there pouncing all over the place, running all over the place, feeling like he can go anywhere and do anything, even though his daddy told him to stay in the light, walk in the light,
Okay. That's not a part of the.
beautiful
That's
light.
not on the soundtrack.
That's all he had to do, though.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
You're right. You're
that's
right.
all he had to do. But like, when you're young, you feel limitless.
Yes, you feel
Yeah,
you
you're like,
feel
I
limitless.
can do. I'm gonna be king. What y'all talking about?
You know, I like this idea of the benefit package because what this is, and I just this is the when I look at a benefit package as when the seat I'm sitting in, I think about how much it's gonna cost me. Like,
Come on here.
and so what we don't realize is the king creates the package. That's what your job is. But
Yeah.
if you're thinking so much of how it's going to benefit you, you actually aren't. That's not king. That's not leadership. That's not
Yeah.
because the question is where'd the package come from? And that's where you are about to go. Is you have to be prepared to create packages for other people. And that is a totally, and so what that means is you have to weigh costs over value all the time.
Yeah.
And weigh stuff that other people don't have to weigh. And
Yeah.
so I think like the way he's thinking is really it's you're not thinking like somebody who creates a package. You're looking at what the package is. And you're and so I think that's as a young leader, which I understand. I mean, we all did it. Like you said, we're all, it's like, I want to, what's in this, what's this move going to do? What do I get? You know, my thing was really less about the amount of money and more about the amount of freedom I had. So like, could I do other things? Can I explore? Can I leave when I want to leave? Can I create my own schedule? Right. That's
actually, can I get there when I want to get there? That's
wow,
what I be thinking about. I'll stay as long as it takes.
Oh, I'm
but
so the opposite.
Please don't make me get there at 7:30.
Oh, I'll get there as early. I'll get there as
gosh.
early as you want me to get. I'm leaving. If I could leave at noon or 1 o'clock, oh, that's amazing.
And you know, that is the majority of the people that I work with, like that I have worked with in my lifetime, actually. But I like round about like 1:30, I'm kicking in.
Woo,
I'm like, let me hit these emails.
Oh, that's
you know,
funny.
And I know the people be like, we've been waiting all day for this guy, and I be like, I just didn't have it.
That is funny. So you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. But I think that that was what it was for me. And but as I got, like you said, the requirements, and yeah, as you develop more responsibility, you do a lot of times get more of that, but the requirements are, I sometimes I'm up at 10 or 11 o'clock at night because I can't sleep because I make this decision that's going to affect my team, and I don't know how I'm gonna tell them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to, I have to figure out, I have to make this budget work. You know what I'm saying? And I don't quite know how to do it. Like, I got more expenses and I'm tracking income, and I got to figure out another way to get this money, right?
Yeah.
And so that is not something that you can, that's part of that cost package that we don't always consider when we're talking
Yeah.
about elevating in our leadership. And so with Simba, he didn't have he didn't have the he didn't have the maturity to get there. He wasn't there,
Yeah.
you know? And that's where the benefit of having a father who's leading you and who you need to listen to, a father, mentor, supporter, coach, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that can help you understand, this is not about what you get. This is about what you have to be, what you have to give up. You have to give.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, are you prepared to give to the level of a leader, not
Yeah.
receive?
And I think that was, when they were practicing, pouncing and
What she's trying to say, people, is
roar,
roar.
roar. It's
Roar.
when you put no, because it's when you put the ing on it. Okay,
Roaring.
roaring.
There you go.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh man,
One more
listen, I
time.
promise.
One more time.
No, leave me alone. Okay, when he was practicing his roar. Okay, that felt good.
There you go.
I love how it becomes a symbol in the movie though.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's like you haven't really developed, like and your I think the roar is really about how you um it's because it has a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you want to use it for your own self-recognition, your own, ability to stand out and your ability to pronounce to everybody, I'm the king, I'm the person y'all need to listen to. You want to use it for that. But it's not it comes through a character development process.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I think in our younger years, we spend a lot of time honing our talents
Mm-hmm.
and not a lot of time building our character.
Yeah.
And the movie
Yeah.
shows like there is a difference between, your ability to be a lion and your ability to be a king.
Mm. That's
Like, and I
good.
think the
Good.
movie really
It's really good.
juxtaposes that. Like, as we look at the life of Simba, it's you can be who you are. Like, you are a lion, right? And in every instance of your life, you're gonna show up as a lion.
Yeah.
But to become a king is gonna require a level of sacrifice and a level of intentionality that you are going to have to set yourself to. And I
Yes.
think that's what Ruth Abigail and I both realized as leaders. Like, you can be good at your job, but to be a leader, you are going to have to be intentional and you are going to have to sacrifice.
Yes. You are. Yes.
Yeah. And I think the great James Earl Jones,
Come on.
okay?
Come on.
First of all,
One time for the
could
great James Earl.
man,
Come on.
one time for the great
Yeah.
late James Earl
Come on.
Jones. You really could not have found anybody else
Nah.
to voice Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Okay, like when Mufasa showed up on the scene, he was the gravitas of the movie. And
Simba.
Rafiki was Rafiki was also super deep,
He was. He was.
but Mufasa was the depth.
Yeah.
He carried the depth. He carried the meaning. He carried everything. He carried the foundation of the movie, and it was his voice that we were kind of hearing in the background through every move that the movie made, right? And I think that it's so pivotal when you think about I just can't wait to be king. Simba had a picture of a king, but he did not yet have the lived experience of one.
And to that, we see that in the scene, like that's exemplified in the scene where he and Nala go to the elephant
My Lord.
graveyard,
In
um,
darkness.
and thank you, and the Shadowlands, right,
My
and
ooh,
okay, all right,
if it ain't the shadow of the Almighty, I don't want it.
oh God, help,
Huh?
okay. Okay. So they go there, and of course the hyenas are there, and they are, and to your, but like you said, Quita, Simba's a lion. He's like, I'm a lion, and
I can go wherever I want.
I can go where I want. I can, like, I'm not afraid of you, that kind of thing. And so he tries to prove that. So one of the, I think it's a beautiful thing, but it's just underdeveloped. Is that because Simba does know who he is, and this is he knows who he is, and at this point he's clear on who he is because of who he's connected to, his father. And because he does that,
Mm-hmm.
he shows up with a level of confidence that seems misplaced. Why are you so confident? And that's where that roar comes from. He roars because he's confident, but the problem is he doesn't have the competence that comes from lived
Ooh,
experience,
ooh.
right?
You got confidence, but no competence.
And so the confidence of young leaders have a lot of confidence. I had a lot of confidence.
I did too.
I've always had a lot of confidence, right? But what happens is that confidence is not able to take you through conflict. You have to have competence. You have to be competent.
Hold up, because you didn't add that conflict in at first when we first talked about this. Okay, you didn't put a little sauce on it now. So you got to break that down because you done made it saucy.
I don't be giving you all my stuff in the pre-meeting. So we no, but when you see that the conflict, when the confidence works until you have a problem to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have to know something. Like, it's not just about how I show up. It's not just about my roar. It's about what's in my mind, what's in my head. And
My
so
Lord.
he didn't listen to his father. His father knew, you ain't ready for that, son. And he didn't listen to him because he's confident. All right, that's cool. I'm going where I'm going anyway because I'm confident, but you don't have the knowledge your father has to know, don't go. And so that's so you have to be aware that that your influence can only go as far as your competence. And
Yeah.
if you have all the influence in the world, but it stops at your level of competence.
But see, that's the difference between people who talk a big game and the people who follow through.
For sure.
And we all know the person who, sorry, my mind flashed back. As a leader, let's flip it a little bit. Let's talk about from the perspective of being a leader, and you're looking at your team, you're looking at the people that it's your job to mold and shape. You have to be able, sorry, it's all coming back to me. You have to be able to delineate the people who have the confidence versus the people who have the competence, and the ones who are willing to learn.
Absolutely.
Because the thing about Simba is that he refused to be teachable.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, listen,
I got this.
I already got it, Pops.
That's it.
Yeah, so like, let me just roll over here and show you that I have it.
Yep.
And you always want someone to prove to you that you need to be taught.
Yep.
Instead of keeping your heart in a place where you're always open to receive. Because here's the thing. And as a leader, you have to be able to discern who's who and how you are going to help them navigate through their Simba stage, through their young Simba stage. You have to be able to dictate, okay, this one is all talk, but no follow through.
Mm-hmm.
This one is follow through, has all the talents, the gifts, and the skill sets to get to the place, but isn't confident in themselves. And here is the person that has enough humility to learn the competencies. Right, you have to know who's on your team. And I think the thing that needs to be reiterated when we get to the next song, which is Be Prepared, which is like, do
Be
it.
prepared. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, it had to happen right then, because if
There you
she
go.
did that in the middle of me talking, y'all was gonna see her, y'all was gonna see me and her go at it. 'Cause- right. But the thing is that the reason why it's so important that that who's competent, who's confident, and who's teachable is because
That's good.
there's always a nefarious plan being made that could essentially
Uh-oh.
break your team down.
Look at you. Look what you did.
And what
Look at
did
the
I do?
pivot. Look at the
The
pivot.
pivot. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
like
was
it. I
smooth,
like it. That
wasn't
was
it?
good.
That
That
was
was good.
smooth.
That was
Yeah,
good. That
I
was good.
felt it. I felt it. And so your team walking how they walk. Mufasa has to know who's in his land. He has to know who everyone really is and what's really going down. I remember when I would tell my team, I could feel it in the air when something was about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because somebody told me. It's not because I went to a secret meeting that they weren't a part of. It's because I, as a leader, had to be aware of the intentions and the plans and the scope. I had to be aware of a larger scope so that I could fully prepare my team for what was preparing for them.
Oh Lord.
Right. And there was a plan being made against Simba. And because he was not prepared, because he walked in there confident but not competent,
Mm.
he got caught up in the middle of what was going to take him down.
Man. So let's talk about being prepared. So
Sorry, I almost did it. I ain't gonna do it.
you see. So Scar obviously is the antagonist in this film, and Scar he has a plan. He knows what he
Mhm,
wants, and he's gonna go after it. And what
mhm.
what what we often don't do is meet moments like Quita just said that are prepared for us with just as much preparation. And so
Ooh, wait a minute. Sorry. I really hope y'all heard that. The moment, because it can be seen, it can be interpreted both in the light of, there's something that's being prepared against you, but
mhm,
there's also something that's being prepared for
for
you.
you, that's right.
And
That's correct.
if you would allow yourself to focus on God, on who God is preparing you to become, what's being prepared against you won't prosper,
That's
and
right.
you'll still walk into what's prepared for you.
Man,
But you have to submit to the process.
you have to submit to the process.
Yeah.
So this is how I think um one of the things that we see about Scar, right, is that if we fast forward to the end to the part of the movie where Scar is king, Simba has left, right, and he's the king, but nobody has any food. They are restless. They don't know, like things are in a bad state. And what we see is Scar was prepared to get the crown, but he was not
Hmm.
prepared to lead.
No.
He was prepared to be in charge, but he wasn't prepared to lead.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do we avoid that? Because a lot of us, we like this idea. I had this moment. I gotta be honest. This is gonna be a transparent moment. I wasn't sure if I was gonna share this or not, but I am. So because this is just gonna it's a little peek into the part of me that I have to keep in check. Um
Mm.
Somebody said something, like, I was in this meeting the other day and they called me I think chief financial officer or chief fundraiser, chief something. They use the word chief. Here's what's it like. I don't sometimes I forget that I do have the ego. Let me just be real. And when I heard the word chief, something triggered my ego.
Mm.
It triggered it.
Mhm.
I don't use that language. But that's the language they use. Wasn't no big deal. They were just saying it, because that's the language they
Mhm.
use. But it triggered me. And I was like, ooh, you need to keep that in check. Because in my in a less mature version of myself, and a less spiritually mature version of myself, I can let that get to my head. And
Mm.
and realize like my what I'm seeking after is that kind of designation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not that, but that's not what leadership is about. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be aware of like we say all the time, you have to be self-aware to understand what triggers you, like what thing when you hear that, what when you hear certain words, certain ideas, what
My
triggers
Lord.
you to say, ooh, there's something about that that's like that excites me, but not maybe for the right
Mm-hmm.
reason, right?
Yeah.
And be aware of that, because that's going to help you. So how do you prepare to lead? Not just prepare to be in charge, not just prepare to hold the benefits of a title.
Mm.
How do you prepare to lead?
Yeah.
Three things, real simple, and Quita can expound on it, but I'm gonna just break it down real quick. First thing is you have to begin by following. You need to follow
Mm.
a leader. If
Yeah.
you want to lead but have not been properly led, you will not lead well. Um, the second one is know why you want to be a leader. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
be a leader so that you can be in charge, you might want to check that.
Check it.
You might want to check that.
Check it.
That won't last long. So you need to know why, and then you need to determine the who. In other
Yeah.
words, who are you in it for? Are you in it for you, or are you in it for other people? If
Yeah.
you haven't followed a leader, if you are unsure of your why, and if you're really in it for yourself, you need to stop pursuing leadership.
Yeah.
Stop.
Listen. No.
It'll crush you.
Listen.
It's not for you right now.
Yeah. It's not for you.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Right
At
now.
this moment.
Yeah.
Because I think so there's so many things. I'm going to go back to the ladder versus the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that that's what tripped Scar up.
Yeah,
Is
for
that he
sure.
was so focused on looking at the top of that ladder that he never looked around.
Mm,
Right? And so he wasn't
mm.
building what was going to go around him as king. He was just building what he saw up there was him sitting at the top.
Yes.
Right? And I think that there's so many areas of our life where we build the picture that we see, that but not the whole puzzle. Like you're focused on one piece. Like I can't wait till I get this piece. Wait till I get this piece. And you get the piece, but you're not aware that it's just a
It's
piece.
just a piece.
It's just a piece, and you have made this piece the entire picture when there are 500 other pieces to the puzzle
Yeah.
that you now are responsible for because you put yourself at the top. Right? So he made all these promises of, hey, listen, be prepared. In that Be Prepared song, he was like, hey, listen, come with me, you'll never be
Yeah.
hungry
Yeah,
again.
that's it. That's what he said.
Okay,
That's what he said.
I'm gonna give y'all all the power, all the joy. It's gonna be a
Yes.
great time, especially. And he was talking to a disgruntled people.
There you go.
Who are you talking to, and what are you appealing to in them?
That's right.
Right? If the only way sorry, it'll take you back. It'll take you back. I promise you. If the only way that you are able to gain leadership is by pulling on the dissatisfaction of people,
Mm.
and you make these promises that I will make you happier, and not I will make you better.
Yeah, for
If that's the
sure.
promise you're
For
making
sure.
as a leader, let me tell you something. Go ahead and pack that on up.
Pack it up.
You are not, first of all, if a people is already dissatisfied, meaning that they are not already seeking answers to their own problems,
Mm.
but they are content with laying in the confusion of their complaints.
Yeah.
Right? Like they like the
Yeah,
comfort
yeah,
of
yeah.
complaining.
Yep.
And you say that's who you want to be king of?
Yep.
That's who you want to lead? That's who you want to influence? That's who you want to put in position? Let me tell you something, baby. You are building an empire that will remain dissatisfied with anything that you do. And that's why Scar found himself in a place where you fought so hard to become this person that still nobody likes.
Yeah, right.
They still don't like you.
That's right.
They didn't like you when you was over there in the elephant bones. They don't like you when you king. They don't like you. They don't like you. Even the people that you brought with you now don't like you.
And they don't respect you.
And they don't respect
They don't
you.
respect
Because
you.
however you go about getting those positions, you're not gonna be able to break that personality with people.
No.
You know
No.
what I'm saying? And so I think it's so important when we think about the be prepared, like you have to be mindful of what you're preparing for.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, one of the most obvious examples to me is, they tell people don't focus so much on the wedding as you do
The
the
marriage.
union, the
Yes.
marriage, the life.
Amen.
You're not, planning a wedding, you're building a life together. And I think that we get so caught up in the thing that we want. I'm elder millennial over here. All
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Yep.
No need to keep putting out ages, 38, but no need to keep putting out ages. But like I could take marriage and see it as I can make that my end goal. Like, hey, I gotta get to it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. But um you're gonna find yourself with that thing and still feeling the same feelings that you feel on this side.
That's it.
Because you have to question. I think now is a good time, middle adults. Now is a good time when you think about the song "Be Prepared." It's time to question ourselves. What have we been preparing for?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been prepared? Have you been preparing for a wedding? Have you been preparing for a marriage?
That's good.
Have you been preparing for true leadership, or have you been preparing for a position? Have you been preparing for a title, or have you been preparing for calling, assignment, and purpose?
Yep.
Right. And I think now is just a really good time for us to really question that so that we can make the necessary pivots so that we live a life that's still impactful and influential and we don't end up running away from it like
Look
Simba did.
look at you. Look at you with
Oh,
the
I'm full of
pivots. Look
transitions
at you
today.
with the pivots.
I'm full of them.
Come on.
Okay? I'm full
Yeah.
of them.
Come on,
Okay?
let's take that turn. Let's take
Yeah,
that turn.
let's go ahead and take that
Let's
turn,
take that
okay?
turn because Simba ran away. Simba was scared. Well, let's give Simba some credit. Simba saw his daddy die, and Simba said, no, ain't gonna be me. I'm gonna
Mm-mm.
go." Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think grief took him. There's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can we just? I mean, going back when going back to watching that, it wasn't until I was older watching it, like, I began to be uncomfortable with that scene. Like,
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to see this. Like, this is
I'm it's
this is like,
hard.
yeah, like it's hard to
Yeah.
watch that. And
It's hard.
and it's like, man, that is some heavy. Going back to what we said, this is why this movie is so, because the heaviness of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his father was killed by his brother, and his
Mm-hmm.
son saw it. And well, he saw him die. He didn't see who killed him, but he did see him die.
Yeah.
And and it's like, what does a child do?
With trauma.
What is the first thing you do? You run.
Yeah.
You find a way to escape. And so what
But I think it's so critical that we go back. It may not have happened like that for us, but you have to go back and say, where in my life did trauma cause me to run? Like something in me escaped, ran, built up structures. Like they say, like you have the fight or flight.
Yeah,
Some of us are fighting through what others may have ran from, and you feel better about yourself because you fought it,
sure.
but really you did not fight the thing. You built up structures, mentalities, personalities that are still trying to protect you from what happened.
That's it. That's right. You're that's it. Yeah, you're we have different ways of escape. Like,
Yeah.
there's different methods of it, and it looks different for everybody. But it's the ultimate point is we don't sit in, nobody wants to sit in that kind of tragedy and trauma. So our first inclination is to go. So
Yeah.
we go away. Like, and he physically just ran away. And so I think it's important to know what your tendencies are. Like, when you are And here's what's interesting. You put yourself in, um, I think for people who are leaders, who are positioned to lead and to lead well, when something happens that they don't expect, what do you do?
Mm,
What do you do? And for me,
mm.
I was a runner. I'm a runner. I'm going to run and I'm going to escape and I'm going to go somewhere else. And for me, I ran away from leadership for years because I just had no interest in I didn't want to be in the spotlight. I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to hide when I wanted to hide. And
Mhm.
so for a long time, even though it was clearer to other people, I found my way around leadership
Mhm.
somehow, right? And it didn't look
Mhm.
bad, right? Simba didn't run into, he didn't go and get on drugs. He went to paradise. He went to a land where he could do what he
My
wanted to do, right?
goodness.
He went and he found friends. He found a
Yeah, because
community.
there's always going to be somebody that's going to support you not rising up to
Yeah,
who you're actually supposed to be.
but he didn't. They
And
didn't.
that
They didn't
yeah,
know. They didn't
they
know,
didn't know that because
right?
they were thinking about what he could do for them.
Yeah,
There's like,
yeah,
hey, yo, we need a lion on our side. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? We're prey out here. To have the king of the jungle rolling with us, and there are people in your life
Mm,
who know that without you they would be eaten.
wow.
And so they keep you in low places
Yep.
to protect themselves.
You said something in the when we were meeting earlier about this idea of he was able to be in his gift but not in what
Not
did
in
you
position.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in his gift, but not in his assignment,
Yeah, and
right?
not yeah.
Because he's still a lion, except for now he's digging up bugs,
Yeah.
right? And protecting two animals when he's supposed to protect
Pecked a
a
whole
nation,
nation. That's
a
right.
jungle,
Yep.
and so like he's still where he is becoming king of comfortability.
Mm,
He's becoming the king of the escape.
yeah.
Right. And so, what's in you, if you are a leader, you will find yourself in some sort of position, but you can be in a position, but still out of position.
Uh-oh.
You
Uh-oh.
can be in a role, you can be in a place operating in a function, but not where you're supposed to be.
That's right.
Because what's in you, the Bible says,
The Bible
Shondo.
says.
The Bible says, okay, that the gift is given without repentance. That means, regardless of what state I'm in, really, like regarding where my character, where I have positioned myself, regardless of what state I'm in and where I'm positioned, my gift can still operate.
Yeah.
And so his gift of being a lion, of hunting and leading, he became a leader
Yeah.
of these two people who were, you know what I'm saying? And so that's where Akuna Matata comes.
Yeah.
I'm the king of no worries. I'm the king of no cares. I'm the king of, and when you think about it, Ruth Abigail, everything that he sang about, and I just can't wait to be king.
Ah, he was able to do it.
He got
Yep.
in
That's
paradise.
good. That's
And it's
good.
so easy to stay there. Nobody's
Ah,
saying be here. Nobody's saying do this. Nobody's saying do that.
that's
Everywhere I
it.
go, it's looking like, and I'm having everything that I said I wanted because I didn't understand who I needed to become. So
I never made that connection.
I just did.
That's good, man. No, that's true. I always I probably said since I started working, I never want to be an executive director and I never want to fundraise. Those two things, I would say that for years. I said it for years. And I when I told Jill, my
Co-founder.
co-founder, um and I always said, she would always say, well, I'm just keeping the seat warm, is what she was saying. And I'm like, I'm never gonna do that. Like, it's not something I want to do. And the truth of the matter is, and the role I think I was supposed to be in at the time, But I tell you, it was a nice position. Like, it was a nice position. It was one of those positions in the field I'm in that many people don't get. I was very, very grateful to have it. I was very privileged to have it, and I don't take that for granted. But man, was I comfortable. Boy, I was comfortable. I was comfortable. And I'll never forget that I was actually, my father was getting an honorary doctorate at a school in Pennsylvania. Random. We all went. And we were staying in this person's house. I was asleep. I was in my bed. And the Lord literally just, I remember I was taking a nap. I woke up and I said, uh-oh, I think it's time. And I called Jill in Pennsylvania in a bed after a nap and said,
Wow.
I think I'm ready.
No, listen, similar story. Okay. Similar story. As we all know, I think I've told the story before. I'm in college. I was a psych major. I was struggling as a psych major. And I remember the night the Lord told me I needed to change my major to religion. I was heartbroken. I was stressed out. Do you hear me? In my very melodramatic way, got my keys, went to my car, drove around campus. I drove to the chapel. I told the Lord, I don't want to be a pastor. I don't know why you're making me change my major to religion. But I was crying. I was boohoo crying in that car saying, I don't want to be a pastor. I go to divinity school. I tell all my friends, hey, I'm here because the Lord told me to be here. I'm not a minister. That's y'all's gig. And they're all looking at me like, you are the most obvious minister there is. Right? Like, you, like, girl, what are you talking about? Right? I finally, I give in to it took me, I graduated divinity school with a master of divinity, still telling people I didn't want to be a minister. I graduated in 2012. I got licensed in 2019. And it's because one day I woke up and the Lord said, it's time to get off the bench.
Man.
And I told that to my pastor, and the next thing I know,
you off the bench.
The next thing I know, here are the requirements for becoming a minister. I was like,
yep.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that's what that meant. I didn't even know that's what the Lord. But I was like, yeah. I need to get off the bench.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah,
a lot of times, and I think if you're like, if you're comfortable and you're in paradise and you're like, hey, I'm chilling, like I'm thriving. It's like, I don't have no reason to leave. Why would I leave? Like,
why would I leave?
But something, and I think, this is, I'm gonna try this little pivot. Okay, I'm gonna try this little pivot. When his I'm not doing it as well as you. I can't do it. but somebody came back and reminded him who he was.
Yeah.
She reminded him of his purpose. And she had been his partner from the beginning. And she came back around. She spun the block.
Listen.
And she said, come here.
Listen.
Uh-huh.
Listen. Okay.
That's what she said.
I give you a B+ on that
Thank
transition.
you. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Listen, if you haven't guessed who we're talking about the one and only Nyla.
Absolutely.
All right. The one who looked at him like look here, buddy.
Look here.
She immediately came in and she was like, hey, man, bring your tail back.
Get back here.
Okay. I don't know. First of all, nobody even knew you was out here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You out here, I'm saying he was living the life of, he was on the ladder. I'm telling you. He was on the ladder. He was looking out for himself. He was focused internally on himself.
Yes.
And she was like, okay, well, while you been out here, in
We've
paradise.
been
You a grown
dying.
man now. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been dying. Like everything
We
that your daddy
starving.
built,
Yep.
everything that he founded and he covered, we don't have a covering.
Yes.
And your raggedy uncle
Yep.
is out here leading us.
Yes. Yeah.
And your mama.
Yeah. Come get your mama. Right.
Come get your
her.
mama.
Come get
somebody had to, you know what? You know, that's real disrespectful. That boy lost his daddy and forgot he even
and
had
just
a mama.
left his mama.
I know, left his mama. Like, dang.
That's terrible. But Sarabi can handle herself, though. Let's just be real. Sarabi can handle
tell you
herself.
something. The one thing Sarabi can do,
What she say?
is that.
Yes, Scar.
Listen. But
What
see, we find out in Mufasa what that real relationship was. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, we ain't no movie spoilers. Okay, but go see Mufasa. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
But yeah, but you know, you have to have somebody. And this is where I think it starts to become clear to him who he had partnered with for which seasons of his life, mm-hmm. and how he was going to navigate that moving forward. But he could not move forward until Rafiki came back.
That's right.
And reminded him of who his daddy was.
Yes, that's right. It. And
come on. And pointed him back to the template of who he was to become. Because I felt like we hadn't talked about Rafiki yet, and that's my favorite character.
We haven't. I'm sorry. I kind of flashed back to a previous episode that if you haven't watched, we talk about Remember the Titans. And you know that part was like, "Who's your daddy, Gary? Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? You are." That's right. I was like, to be honest, that part. Sorry, I know we're not supposed to be talking about Remember the Titans, but that part actually scared me. I was like, they gonna kill Denzel. They gonna. Because if everybody around him could hear what he was saying to them boys,
man, look,
I was like,
yeah,
he bold.
He bold. But I think that's so key. Remember, like that idea of remembering who you are designed to be, but it's not about you. It's what you're connected to that reminds you about that.
Yeah,
and so I think this is also, again, going back to the making a full circle, if you will.
She's so proud of herself. That's what's getting me.
Everything is connected. Like everything is connected. You are not disconnected from your past.
Yeah.
You're not disconnected from the people who have come before you, and you're not just disconnected to the creator who put what's in you anyway.
The creator.
Right.
But also I think it was important because he disconnected because he was holding shame.
Yeah.
And shame and guilt disconnects us from purpose and destiny.
That's good.
Because if you are allowing yourself to be ruled by those emotions, you will find that puts you he was walking in a circle, but it was a circle that wasn't connected to the circle. He wasn't connected to the bigger picture because his picture became the shame and guilt that he felt.
Yeah.
And so he built his life around that.
Yeah.
And that's what fortified the grief.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you was going to pick that up.
Oh, no.
I think it's... I think kind of one of the last points I think we want to hit is that when you think about Simba's life and his leadership was so intertwined with who he was connected with and what they were kind of reinforcing are the ideologies that they were reinforcing in his life.
Correct.
Right? You know, like his identity as a lion was depicted by who was telling him what a lion was or what a king was.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they all were protecting this version of him that they had grown attached to.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's such a pivotal moment where Simba comes to the realization of who he's going to be. And he starts naming himself, naming his own identity and claiming his identity. He lays claim on who he is. And so, you know, the question becomes, because after that, can you feel the love tonight with him and Nala? That was really a grown-up song. Okay, if you go back and look at the lyrics, okay, it wasn't explicit.
It was
It
not.
just what
It's not.
5-year-old understood that? Like,
No, nobody. It wasn't
no,
for them. It was for their parents.
yeah, it was for the
It said,
parents.
go back and y'all go find the love. Go find it. Go feel the love.
Not Disney healing marriages. Disney said, "Yeah, we gonna heal the households with this one. Protect the family. Focus on the family." But nevertheless, when he left to go pursue who he really was, Timon and Pumbaa. Pumbaa. I don't know why I struggled.
It's okay.
Been saying it right all day, and then I get here, and it's like, man. But they had a decision to make about who they were going to be in his life from that point forward.
Right.
And I think, what do you do with the relationships you had when you pivot?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be mindful of how people set themselves up in your life after the pivot. Because we lose friends in the change.
That's right.
We lose friends when we decide to be who we really are and go after the things that God has for us, and we are resettled. And God, when the Bible says that he takes us out of the pit and puts us on a rock, what are the people who were in the pit with you doing? Did anybody else decide to come up on the rock?
Yeah.
And you have to be mindful of where people are, because they are physically still talking to you, and they are physically still engaging with you, but you have to know where their heart is. Are they in the pit, or are they on the rock?
And that's not for you to decide.
Yeah.
That's for them
it's
to
for
decide.
You to discern.
It's for you to discern. It's for them to decide. And you continue. You have to continue to be where you need to be, and understand that if they decide to move forward with you, great, but you can't allow their decision to keep you from moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you saw there, right? Timon and Pumbaa. Timon specifically, he was like, we finna lose our boy.
Yeah.
We finna lose our friend. We finna lose our protection. We finna lose our lion. What we gonna do? And they followed him, right? And they wanted to still be a part of the journey with him, but everybody won't do that.
But I also think, I think it's such a great visual, because, people say there are people waiting on you to get in position.
That's
there are nations of people that are waiting for you to
that's
get
what they say.
where God had. The people be saying that.
They be
but
saying that.
I mean, literally, they found their worries and their cares.
Yeah.
They found something to be passionate about, something, a way that they can contribute. When they were in paradise, they were not in the circle. They were not contributing to the greater picture. You know what I'm saying? It was them, Simba, and the bugs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Bugs.
Because the lion was eating bugs.
He was.
He tried to offer that to Nyla. She was like, bruh,
ew,
come home.
like what?
This is a prodigal son now. Hey,
slimy
listen,
yet
man.
satisfying.
No, it made no sense.
It's gross.
It made no sense. Like, he used to eating zebras, and he out here.
Right. Yeah.
That's
the
hilarious. Antelope is not the bug. But you getting in position is going to have everything to do with who you're aligned with.
Absolutely.
And you have to be aware.
You have to be aware.
And I think the movie ends because Simba has learned all the lessons, and he has developed in the ways, and he has accepted the real weight of the crown, and not just the glory of it. He accepted the weight. A lot of times we accept the glory, but we don't accept the weight.
That's right.
He accepted the weight of it, and he was then able to defeat what tried to defeat him, which was Scar, just to be clear.
And there you have it, folks.
There you have it.
The Lion King.
Man,
well done.
Listen,
well done.
Listen, that movie was deep.
It's well done. Well done. It was deep. It really was. Like, it was a deep movie. It was a lot of lessons. It really hit home. They understood the journey of the people. They get it.
You know,
They
and
get
to
it.
know that that these movies were written in like the 80s and the 90s, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, they were really pulling from some real life experience.
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested, and maybe for the next movie or the next things that we do, we can pull more context of what was happening in history at that time that these movies were written, because the way we're reading the movie differently because we're different.
For
You know,
sure.
the way that we read it when we was 8 in the 90s was
Yeah.
like, man,
Which,
look.
and if we were adults in the 90s, we would have seen it different, because you have a different perspective. You're living a different life,
Yeah.
you know?
But
It,
also because we're in leadership positions, we look at it differently.
also that. That's right.
Nevertheless, y'all, listen. Thank y'all for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys. So,
Yeah.
please join our community. We love to have you. We love the growing community of unlearners. And just be on the lookout, because we have some things that we are thinking about, figuring out better ways to serve the community, bring the community together. So in the near future, just be on the lookout for some cool updates of the UnLearnT podcast.
Yeah.
But until then, y'all, like, share, subscribe. Don't keep this to yourself. If you're enjoying kind of reminiscing with us through these movies, share it with somebody else. And let's help this thing grow. And let's keep unlearning together, y'all, so we can
So that we
experience. Come on, finish it.
so that we can experience
Uh-huh.
more freedom.
Come on.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.